So are you drinking?
Moderately, yeah.
Okay.
Like a small amount.
All right, so I'm about to do like a podcast intro.
All right.
So
yeah, all right.
This is going to be.
Wait, I'm going to sit here like an all like mug. I'm going to wait for this.
Are you ready? All right, I'm going to be a podcast presenter right now. Hang on, right? Okay. Hello, this is Jamie Christ and Jack Peppiette for the first edition of the CHRISTWVRKS YouTube podcast, I guess we can call it. So if any of you guys don't know, Jack is a world-renowned ornamental tattooer, specializing in sort of Mehndi, Indian-inspired ornamental designs.
Doodads.
Yeah. I mean, is that pretty much how you would describe yourself? Yeah, you describe yourself. What would you say?
No, I'd say that was pretty much spot on. Mehndi, any sort of ornamental style tattooing, really. But yeah, doodling on adults for money. That's pretty much.
That's the most important part. I mean, yeah. As a side note, just so everyone knows the background here, that me and Jack have actually known each other since we were little kids. My mum has photos of us drawing on my kitchen floor together, which she loves to whap out at any available opportunity.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So COVID-19, right?
Yeah.
Who's heard of that?
I know. I've not had a haircut in 2 weeks. Terrible.
But like, what? Yeah. I mean, like, well, you were kind of going on till the bitter end, right, with tattooing.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it was. I think we didn't last until they told everyone to shut. I think we were like the Saturday before that week, and then on the Thursday, was it maybe? They just said, "Nah, that was it, done."
Yeah, I mean, I remember like not understanding why you weren't stopping when I did, but then when I was thinking about it more, I was like, man, if I was one of your clients and I was like, I've waited for like a year or whatever to get tattooed by you, and then like right before, then you stop, and then they're then going to be like right at the back of your queue waiting like another year or something, and I was just like, oh my god, that'd be like horrendous.
Yeah, that's one of my main concerns really, was that like, so if they've been on the like, because there's a waiting list to get put on like an appointment. So if they've been on the waiting list for 6 months, and then they get an appointment a year and a half away, and then it comes all the way around to that appointment.
Yeah.
And like, I also feel bad. Sometimes when you get sick as well, I've got sort of fire days I can move people to here and there, but I've not got 3 weeks worth. So like right now I'm sort of going, okay, if I don't go to Lithuania, if I don't go on holiday in August, and then I'm looking at every other holiday week that I've taken going, okay, that's that week gone, that week gone, that week gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, this is kind of our holiday now, right?
I guess, yeah.
Like, I mean,
but yeah, I just don't want it to be like, I don't want it to be so unfair for the people that have waited so patiently.
Yeah.
And have been so understanding. I couldn't.
Yeah, you're pretty lucky that they even still want to get tattooed by you like 2 years later.
Yeah. So I
mean,
I couldn't possibly. I don't feel like I could possibly say to them, okay, well, it is what it is. We'll try next year. So I want to try and keep them as close to that as possible. But, oh, sorry. 2 secs. My fat cat is trying to get out of the spare room. There you go. There we go. Sorry, it was scratching.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think,
so what is it? Are you
this whole thing?
Like, how booked up are you? What's
wait, yeah, I've got a dog situation. Yeah, so I mean, like with me, I had to cancel about like a month's worth of stuff. But that was what I was about to say. Was what's good about the whole thing is that
Jolene.
everyone's yeah everyone's pretty much in the same boat, right? Like it's not like it's kind of something that's only affecting tattooers. Like all the clients are also like everyone knows that it's kind of like this like thing that is completely unavoidable for everyone. So like everyone has been really understanding. I mean, me and Abby just had to move our wedding.
Yeah.
And and we were like, well, Abby was really worried, like, what if they're difficult about the deposits and all this stuff? And I was like, well, none of us have been like that. We're all being as accommodating as possible, so I'm sure they'll be the same.
I think Jason was mentioning, like, we're giving back deposits, but really, that could be, and it's lucky that everyone's been so understanding and just said, we'll move it, or, this, that, and the other. And maybe only, 5% of people who we've had to move so far have asked for deposits back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you should safely assume that if they do give you a deposit, they do want the tattoo rather than the money, right? Like,
yeah.
So yeah,
that's fair.
Wait.
But that's the thing that could cripple tattooers, or
having to
more so shops.
Yeah.
As if everyone turned around and goes, actually, I have to move this appointment. I'll find someone else to do it quicker.
Yeah, and but then that's the other thing, is that that's not an option, and everyone knows that, right? So
true.
But then the problem is when it's like with people like you and Mark and stuff. It's like, and Mark told me as well that the problem was when people had booked flights and stuff to come over and get tattooed, and that makes it much more complicated. And
that's a bit of a nightmare. But I mean. Yeah. That's potentially covered by people's like travel insurance.
Yeah. So but then it's like when you don't know, like when you have to book it back, the flight back in, and right now we don't know when you actually can feasibly book in another flight, And then to be fair, it's like I've started booking people back in, but I don't know that for sure that I'm going to be able to do it. So
I mean, before that Saturday where Jason was like, let's just call it a day. Before that Saturday, there was loads of, it was cancellations left and right for people, because with so many international clients, people are just, I can't fly or I can't leave the country. Yeah. So I was desperately trying to fill every cancellation to keep working, because that's, I love working. I love tattooing. That's who I am.
Yeah. I mean, at first, I wasn't struggling with not tattooing, but now it's got to the point where it's been like 3 weeks or nearly 4 weeks since I've done a tattoo, and now I'm like the other day, I just like dropped into the shop and picked up all I took home my machines because I was afraid the shop would get broken into or something.
Yeah, that was the first thing I did.
Yeah. So I took home my machines straight away, like on my last day, but then just yesterday or something, I went and got like everything I need to tattoo, because I'm just like it's gonna get to the point where I'm gonna have to tattoo myself or something.
Yeah,
because I can't handle this. Like it's and then there's tattoos that Abby's been wanting off me for ages that I've never had time to do and stuff. So
that reminds me. On a side note, if you can get some nice pictures of Abby's sleeve.
Oh yeah.
Because honestly, that was what I was saying 2 seconds before we started this, was I was trying to get Mark's wife, Holly, who I did that sleeve for. It's still kind of unfinished, but I'm like, anyone who can take a nice selfie, anyone who can get healed pictures.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other problem now, is like it's hard for us guys, in one way, like people are on their phones like how they never have been before, in terms of everyone's just on their phones like crazy now, but then it's like none of us are like, we're struggling to come up with new content to post on Instagram, right? You've been painting again, right, which you like rarely do, because you tattoo so much. I mean, well, if anyone doesn't know, like me and Jack have argued for the last few years about how much Jack should work, and I've always been telling him that he needs to like just work fewer days a week and his life will be a lot better, but he's just absolutely adamant on continuing to work for 5 days a week, even though like tattooing is, in my opinion, not a 5 day a week job because of the amount of work you have to do out of the office.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I do. I do agree with that now, and I am down to pretty much 4 days a week, just like across the board, because you are right with the amount of like. It's not so much that I can't draw, 5 days a week worth of like sleeves.
Yeah.
But it's coming up with the original ideas.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to draw like, if you're trying to draw content and stuff, I can draw enough content, but I can't think of, that many original like sleeves and back pieces and chest pieces and stuff. It's trying to think of new ways to do things. Do you think that's like an ornamental problem? You need more time. You're right.
Yeah.
But 4 days a week, great. Yeah.
Do you think that's like an ornamental problem? Is that because it's not figurative and people aren't coming to you with I want this thing, and so if you like, even within figurative stuff, we're still talking about a finite number of things that we can tattoo on people, right? But at least when you say like I want this thing, but I want on this part of the body, then that's at least two variables, and then the variables are exponential, right? It's just like wolf to the power of upper arm, right? so for me, that's like and then everyone's body is different. So then when I'm like, that's why I always ask for a photo of the body part, because as soon as you see the body part, then I just see what it's supposed to look like. So I'm never struggling in that way that you have to, because you're trying to represent these structural elements in a new and interesting way every time, and that, like, to me, I'm like, fucking hell, that's impossible.
That's the bit that I really like, though, is like it's the game. I think that's why I'm struggling, like, not tattooing and just painting, because I like having like
a blank page.
You have to figure out how to use the body part to make the tattoo, rather than just like, here's a blank sheet of paper.
Yeah,
you can do anything in this blank sheet of paper, but it's here and it's flat. Whereas the body part, like, there'll be a muscle here and a muscle here. Your arm will bend like a little bit to this side. So you can't do this design, but you can do this. And this won't work here, but it'll work there. And then one piece will be answered, and then the rest will start to make sense as you go. And that's the fun of it for me. That's the really interesting part.
I mean, I would say, like, because I like have been around like you and other ornamental tattooers so much, I definitely like, because obviously when I was learning as well, you were helping me so much with how to place stuff and everything like that. So like, I do think about like how to do that as much as possible in terms of with figurative stuff. It's like, it's the Japanese thing of like using the flow of the body to like how how you place things and everything. But like I think you're just like a much more like architectural type person, and I'm much more like you still like the rules, whereas I still like to like throw away the rules as much as possible.
I like that there's like, sometimes that's the hard thing about trying to think of like unique or different ways to do things, because sometimes things just work. And like, it's not like there's a right and it's like that whole thing that you and I disagree with art. It's like there's not a right and wrong way. Sorry, I was pointing right in the camera really threateningly. But, there's like, you and I disagree that there's not a right and wrong way to do art. Whereas like, I think there is, like, sometimes when you put things on, that's the right way to do it. And then you can put things on and be, no, that's wrong. It's not going to work like that.
Well, that's it. It's like, what the normal rule is like that there's only one right way and an infinite wrong ways to do something. But it's almost the other way around with tattooing. Like, it's like you can kind of fuck around with things quite a lot. Is it like that? I don't know.
No, you can mess around with things and you can push boundaries and stuff, and you can try new things all the time. I mean, you should, try new things all the time. Otherwise, you're never going to discover anything new.
But then it's like don't force it when it's not working, right? That's what, like, and a lot of the time, I think that's when people.
If that alarm bell is going off in your head that this is not quite right, then just don't do it. And even if it means going back to something that you've done 100 times, that you're like, okay, well, I'll put this band here, but it's going to work. It's going to work much better.
And then ultimately, everyone's going to be happier in the long run, right? I mean, I think that's a huge problem that when some people allow themselves to be pressured by their client because their client has a particular idea, and because obviously the client has this vision of how it's going to look on them, which like isn't necessarily the reality of it, and even when they're looking at it, they're still seeing the vision in their head. They're not seeing the reality of how it looks, which is what us and everyone else can see.
But that's the gift and the curse of been doing it for a long time, where you can have a suggestion and you'll know pretty much instantly if it's going to work or not. Because you'll immediately see how, or within the hour, you'll see, okay, I can see that working, or that's never going to work. But because you can see it in your head already, and it's not necessarily the easiest thing to explain.
So you've been doing like some painting and stuff. What else have you been doing with your time?
Working out like a maniac.
What have you been doing?
Just like I've got back on the bike, so I've just been lapping Arthur's seat over and over and over again. Or like yesterday, I had to go get my bike fixed. So I cycled over to Edinburgh bike, and then took a shortcut home over the 3 peaks of Arthur's seat. So I was like, well, what else have I got to do with my time? I've kind of I've been the same, and I've actually really been enjoying using like bands and doing body weight stuff. Though I'm really, really having to force myself to train legs, whereas like normally I really like that. Obviously, I love squatting and deadlifting and stuff, but training legs, body weight, when you're used to like squatting with a lot of weight on your back. It's just like, this is fucking. It feels pointless to the point of like, I'm not gonna bother doing it. I might as well just get big guns now. Like, fuck it. I'm just trying to keep like a level of good condition for climbing. To try and keep like, just so when we eventually escape from confinement, then I'm not gonna be completely huffing and puffing. Not able to do half the things I used to. Which is
what about like other creative stuff other than painting, or are you kind of like using it as like a kind of recharge situation?
No. I was laughing because Olivia gave me the idea for the painting. I was like, okay, I've sold this and I've got a commission, so that's my rent sorted. And I was like, yep, okay. That's clever, because I need to paint for my new book, the one that I'm doing with Al. And then I was like, okay, well, I need to paint for the book. I could sell these paintings and cover my bills and my rent and all this.
What you're describing to me, Jack, is called being a professional artist, as if it's some sort of new discovery. It's like, oh my god, I can pay my bills by doing my trade. Like, what?
But I've never worked that hard at selling paintings before. I'm always just being a tattooer, and then like I paint on the side if I feel like it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, even before you were tattooing, really your mostly commissions and stuff were stuff that I was asking you to do. We're in
for
anything,
tattoos.
like, yeah,
Exactly. If anything I drew, it was for tattoos.
Yeah.
So now I've got to go back and become a painter who might tattoo again.
Yeah, someday, maybe.
Yeah, whenever we escape someday, then I'll be tattooing again. But yeah, it's that. Get out of the way, Siegfried. Yeah, that like that drive that I had to tattoo all the time. And if I wasn't tattooing, I was climbing like a maniac or doing, I don't do any sport or any like activity by halves.
Yeah.
It has to be like intense.
Yeah. Well, it's just your automatic way of doing it. It's like, well, when you start something, you're like, I'm going to learn everything there is to know about this, and then I'm going to get to a standard that is not just the average person standard for someone who engages in this activity.
Yeah, a standard that I'm like, I'm good with that. That's, But then, because obviously you're not tattooing and I'm not climbing, then I'm painting like a maniac.
Yeah, no, you've been doing some cool stuff though. Like I liked how you're kind of adding more figurative stuff into your like recent stuff, but it's still very ornamental, figurative, which is cool.
Yeah, I try to think of like some, trying to mix any sort of figure. I might try a lady head next, or try and mix my ornamental stuff into the figurative stuff, just so it doesn't get too, here's more, here's more of this, here's more of that, just patterns over and over and over again.
Yeah. Well, it has to be a reason why you've done something, always. It's like, you can't, like, artistic-wise, in my opinion, it's like, there's no point in doing anything unless there's a point to it. Unless you're trying to, like, get something across, or do something at least new, or anything, then it's like, why bother, If you can't, like, offer something new, then don't fucking bother,
Yeah, I totally agree. It has to be something new and interesting, otherwise what's the point?
Yeah.
But also, like, I'm not great with the I couldn't name any of the paintings. You
are much more of a functional like, it was you that first taught me that distinction between like tattooer and tattoo artist.
Yeah.
And you're like a total die-hard tattooer. But it's funny because people don't think of you that way at all.
That's fair, yeah. But like, I like creating things and I like building a structure. But I couldn't, I couldn't name any of the paintings because I was like, I couldn't do that sort of backstory thing of why you did something. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that in school either. Where you like, I just wanted to do the painting because that's the idea that in my head looked cool. This is my vision, this is what I want to do, this is how I think it's going to look great. And then I always have to work backwards to explain why I did it. I don't know why I did it. I thought it was cool.
Do you think you genuinely don't know why? Because, like, I mean, for me, like, I'm the total opposite of that, right? And, like, I would always say to you, like, I'm always much more interested in the idea rather than the execution of it.
Oh, you have way too many feelings.
I remember you saying that when I said that to you in regards to in regards to like tattoos. I was like, no, I'm always much more interested in the drawing than I am the actual application of the tattoo. And now I don't agree with that sentiment nearly as much as I did before. However, I am really into that whole notion of it, whereas you could throw that out entirely in favor of having a really nicely applied tattoo.
I would I always thought that like the ignorant style tattooing and anything like that, if you've got meaning to it, great. If you've got no meaning, if it's just the silliest thing that you've seen that you thought was funny, do what you want. All good. If it makes you happy, go nuts. But if it's badly applied, or if it looks like, do whatever crazy thing that you want to do, but if you do it really well, that's the difference for me.
But then what if it's like, part of it being done in the way that it's intended to be is that it's done like in this aggressive, well applied manner, like that's literally part of the aesthetic, and the way that when we're playing in Godhole, we're not necessarily trying to hit every note perfectly. It's more about the actual like intent of it, and the aggression of it, and it's like you can hear that, in the same way that you can see the, even in those tattoos, like, and again, it's like, I don't particularly like them, but what I'm trying to say is it's like maybe they're perfect in their imperfection.
Yeah, I mean, actually, in that, like, when you describe it like that, I do appreciate that, because that's why I like, I like seeing the human aspect of tattoos.
Yeah, because that's it. You don't love like hyper perfect tattoos. You do. That's why you don't use an iPad, right?
But I like, I like when you can see like the spirals aren't exact. You can see that it's been done by a human.
Yeah,
and you can see like little bits here and there. It's gone a little bit over the line there. It's not quite perfect, but I think that like the mistakes make it more interesting, because that makes it human.
But that's all. That is the whole thing of like, any time you see anything that's like any craft based thing, or any like any object that's for sale, when it says like handcrafted, like everyone acknowledges that that's better, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, what that actually means is that it's in reality worse than it would be if it was done by a machine, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, why is that? And it's like, because like it feels like a real thing that was made with the intent of it being loved, and a machine can't do that. And it's strange, like as a human we can instantly feel that this object is like dead, like, whereas,
I'd agree with that. It's like when you know it's been done by, like, in the same way that sort of digital art feels, even though you can hold it in your hand like a print, like a nice print, and you can hold it in your hands on nice watercolor paper, and it's digital, it's perfect. But there's something intangible about knowing that it came from a screen.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas, like, if you know that someone else is, like that pottery that Chris Garver's been painting, which is amazing, and you can tell that there's something really, really beautiful about the fact that you know that he's held that and he's painted it with his hands, he's varnished it himself, and then passed it on, and then now you're holding it. That feels like tangible art to me.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was printed on, done on an iPad and then sent to a laser printer, and then you're holding this vase, it doesn't really mean anything to me.
Yeah,
it may be amazing, but
yeah, and it's like, if it was recreated like that, even if they did it like, if they somehow managed to make it like, practically DNA identical, you would still kind of like somehow, there's like an energy that comes from handmade things that like is it's different from when it's like and that's why IKEA is like the most soulless place in the world, right? Because everything there is just like, mass individualism, like churned out bullshit that
where we've had our worst hungover moments in IKEA.
Exactly. But
we bought that sofa though. That was good.
Yeah, it was a good sofa. Well, actually, saying that, it was a good sofa for about like 3 months, and then it just went to shit.
It was fine.
Yeah. So what about like going back to work? How do you reckon that's actually gonna like? Because I feel like when all of us do get the go ahead to go back to work, like I have like serious worries about how it's going to play out, because firstly, I feel like when we do get told it's okay, I reckon it'll probably be not okay in reality, and it'll be too early for one, like, and it'll restart like the spread of it again. Like I reckon that, you know, the government was so keen to get everything going again that it'll be too soon, especially for bars and stuff like that. And then and for us, because we're direct contact.
But I don't think it'll be too early for us necessarily. Bars is a little trickier, but I think with us, because it's one person and everyone's been quarantined for 2-3 weeks, I think most people will be able to say, actually, I did show some symptoms or not, because it's just a one-on-one thing. Yeah. It's not like a bartender and 50 to 150 patrons per bartender. It's more like one person, and then they'll know in themselves if it's okay or not, and you'll know if you're okay to go back to work or not. So I don't think it's going to be quite as risky tattooing wise in private shops, for sure. In walk-in shops, I think that's going to be a bit, you're relying on the trust of people that, you know, if they say that they're okay, they're okay.
Yeah, and then it's so much less, it's so much more impersonal as well, you know. Like the client tattooer relationship isn't like you don't care about each other in the same way, right?
Yeah. Whereas I know I know a lot of my clients, and then the ones that I don't know have been waiting a long time, and they've messaged.
And also you're with them all day as well, right? It's not like you're like boom in out 20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah. So I would generally trust people, to be honest, if they were, you know, showing symptoms a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So I'm not super nervous about that.
What about, do you think this is going to have any sort of lasting effect on like the industry?
I don't think it'll be super lasting once all the sort of, it's gonna cause a lot of problems with like people who have opened their own shops. Because I think there was a huge, like, everyone used to be sort of quite confined into sort of a couple of the shops in town, and then everyone started to, like, you know, everyone exploded and went out and branched off to do their own thing. So there's so many like 1-2 people shops that just sort of spidered out from wanting to do your own thing, which is great because it means people are happier working.
Yeah.
But
and better work, yeah.
I think that model is like, it's always going to be sort of slightly on the line.
Yeah.
Where you have to
so like, I mean,
cover all the bills yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. It's like, we just have to hope that all those guys that, you know, have done that, have like been smart with their money and saved, basically. You know, I mean, that's the only thing that you can do at the moment is try and make sure that you coast it out, right? You know.
But maybe that'll mean that everything comes back together, and all these sort of like satellite shops that have branched out from one big shop, you know.
But then those spaces have been filled, right? You know, so like that's it. It's just like, you know, as more shops open, there's more spaces for more tattooers, and then those spaces get filled, and yeah, I don't know, yeah. But then it was like, you know, when you started your apprenticeship, that was at like the first boom of tattooing, right? And there was like hundreds of shops that opened up right around that time, and then 5 years later they all started shutting down, and then a couple of years after that, then a few more came back, but it wasn't nearly as many as that first boom, you know. So yeah,
there's definitely
maybe
waves.
This is going to be a huge, you know, like, you know, maybe a lot of them will get cut off now.
The private shop appointment only thing was the second wave of like, you know, the huge boom. where everyone sort of you get comfy, and then you're like, okay, let's. I think I can work in my own space now.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I'm like, I feel so lucky to be. I'm like a Red Hot and Blue is like the perfect balance between those two things, and it's super established and really old and everything. So yeah, I feel really fortunate to be where I am.
Oh yeah, I couldn't work anywhere else. I love that shop. I love Insider.
I'm a lifer. Yeah. Yeah, man, cool. So I think so we've been chatting shit for like half an hour now. So I think we can call it. Do you want to tell anyone all the stuff that you've got coming out and where to check you out in that if they haven't seen your stuff before?
Well, yeah, I think all my new stuff's on Instagram, obviously, like at Jack Peppiette. But hopefully Jamie will spell my name right in the video, so at least you'll be able to find it with my second name. Easy enough. I think we will do some leggings again at some point. I'm painting like a maniac, but I need to do new t-shirts and leggings and stuff, I think. No, especially for hopefully
people have been asking me about them London's all the time. People are asking me about those leggings all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so we need to get on that. I mean, and now we've got the mechanism soon, so yeah.
Yeah. No, I will get off my ass and do some new leggings that we can put out. Yeah, I mean, we had that one design, but it wasn't quite right.
No, we can definitely do something better now.
Yeah,
right, cool, man.
For sure.
Thanks for chatting and showing your beautiful face and long flowing locks. All right, cheers, bro.
Thanks.
Talk to you later.
All right, see you in a bit, man. Bye.